Hello everyone, Kurt over here and welcome back to another episode from Whole Federal Labs. Today we continue on in regards to the exploration of Fiore's third master dagger plays. And in this case right here, we're going to start looking at ways that striking the elbow or pushing across, the things we've talked about before, might be ways to be able to achieve what Fiore talks about in regards to, we talk about take the dagger away, strike them, break the arm, bind them and bring them to the ground. We're going to be looking at a concept of how this right here, maybe this one strike is enough to create the break, the throw, and the lockdown at the same time here. So with that being the case, let's get into it.
Okay, so this week here, we're going to be going into the striking area right here and how we can, with a strike, we can break his arm and bring him to the ground at the same time. Or from this position right here, we're going to get to other decision points. But regardless of what we're talking about right here, we're going to be talking about, once again, setting up the third master cover from here off the revezzo side and walking through how we may be able to get that with other play sections. So we start off right here again. Counters can utilize the revezzo shot right here. He's coming once again, as Fiore tells us, from anywhere from the elbow up into this region right here. This is all very nasty. He stabs me through the bicep. My arm is shut down. He puts it right here. He hits my throat. All bad spots right here, especially for this device. So he comes across right here. We're coming into this cover right here, and we're going to once again assume the position. So from this position, that sounds really bad here, but that's okay, whatever. We know what we're getting at, right? So I'm assuming the third master cover off of this right here, and now for whatever reason, there's a lot of plays that come this. Maybe he's pulling his arm back, but I have his wrist. Because I've rotated this, I now can rotate my arm down into covering positions. So as you can see within the image, ultimately this brings a person to the ground. The steering factor is this. I want to hold onto his hand, I'm shoving him. Ultimately he doesn't want to fall down to the ground, so maybe he turns back in towards me. Maybe he finds a way he's pushing this way, which is great, because as he does so, this gives me the access to take the elbow and drive this to the ground, okay? I'm going to follow in right here. We're not have a lot of space, but ultimately from this position, if he tries to get up, I'm just going to lay on his arm right here. I'm going to put all the pressure onto his shoulder. If I really don't like this guy, as soon as I come down with this, I start slamming his arm. Or that may have been the slam to come across. Big thing about that, we'll switch sides here so we can see it. Big thing about this, once again, we're not just going there. This means that once we get into that clinch, once we get into abrazare, we now are in a space where we have to figure out what type of pressure are we dealing with. So counter comes off of this here. I bring this down across, and from this position right here, I can use all sorts of manner of footwork and to make this happen. But from this right here, he decides maybe to push into me, and I'm going to turn outward and bring him to the ground. And now I'm in this position where I have my hand on top. I'm putting my hand on his tricep. If you're trying this with people, you know, if you push this right in the elbow, that's a really good way to really hurt somebody. This place right here for right now. Safety is a good thing out there. We want to be able to train this. From this position here, if he tries to get up, I don't have to do much. In fact, if I put it onto his shoulder, he does the same thing. See, this is where, once again, the further I get away from the joint, it's worse. Try to get up. All right. So, very easy, very light, we don't have to smash the person. Just by putting myself right here, I don't have to do much to get out of it. So again, this could be many different ways here, but by utilizing this downward motion right here, by striking downward and turning out, we're putting the person face down onto the ground. So again, why do we have these three plays right here? Because I think we have a decision point to make. And from this decision point, comes in, from this decision point of making this position right here, I either A, throw him this way, again, very simple and easy to do, if I have won this and I have the access to do so, and if I've struck this properly right here to cause the person to come across, right? If he decides to pull away from me, I let him go, and then I do the same thing again. And then from here, off of this decision point right here, if he decides to go into me, I'm going to go with the pressure here, and then follow up with my body into this. Mind you, we don't have a lot of space right here, so we can't go full on out. And some of us are also nursing injuries, because to practice martial arts is you're going to have all sorts of bumps and bruises with it all. So we're not going full tilt on this, and I don't suggest you do either. The manuscripts that we're looking right here, these are very effective ways of taking someone to the ground. and it really destroying the person's arm for life, okay? So those are all striking points right here. So now we're seeing that we come across here, pushes, so on and so forth. There's ways for him. He's going off this, which allows me to go utilizing this, utilizing tutta volta to go right back down into porta di ferro. I just maintain his wrist, and I'm right here. And I can push up and break anything that I need to do off this. Some scenarios that may or may not have led to us to this position. So already we've talked about if he throws that revezzo, right? So he's coming right here, boom. And the thing is, from this right here, so say he's really strong, I just follow it. And it puts him right here immediately. Do one more time, so on this side, so we can see this. And again, he's very strong with this. Back up, back up, back up. Okay. He's very strong. Boom. He pushes in, and I'm going right into this immediately. Break, 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 boom. Get him in all the places right here that are necessary. Okay? But we'll talk also about coming from this side right here off first master place. So, comes up right here. I have this covering mechanism. He's very strong. I go to second master. He pushes across to clear the blade, and now I'm once again back down into that lower position. This kind of rotational, let's go here. Thank you. This is also something we'll see later on in a sword, this whole concept of going around the person's body to get that kind of traversing to overlock and lock up people as far as the arms go. So he comes in with this, boom, he's strong. I come right here, he's pushing against. I turn, he comes down. I can hold onto his wrist, bring my elbow right here, and then find my hand there. I don't like him, I do other things, I kick his face, I break his arm, whatever the case. Regardless, ultimately right here, what we're seeing is from first to second to third master, this position is achievable. We're going to be talking about later on binding situations that come to this. So if you look at the manuscript of Fiore, we already know we have the middle bind. He comes in with a dagger shot. We already know that we have the middle bind, which is this. So this is your ligadura. This is the middle key. We also have this, which is upper. And what we'll be going to next week is where I come across right here. I'm bringing it down and around, and I'm going to shove up and to create the lower lock. Okay, lower key. Okay. So understand that these are the three bindings we have: high, low, high, middle, low. And we can get there by first putting the guy on the ground, or in the motion of it all, what we can do to get these things into place, which allow us to disarm the person and do other things to them. These three motions right here are going to be the gateway to the disarms that we see later on within Third Master, as well as other binding techniques here to follow on here. And that concludes what we got.
So once again, we see how there's a continuation from the very first play right here. I can either let go. What happens if the person comes back into me? Well, that gives me access to roll. A lot of Fiore's concepts, to me, are really signifying on the idea that you are working against or for. And, you know, I've said it before, the concept about binding hard against to work in or to break down or to go loose with it and then be able to exchange and work a thrust in certain directions here. There are lots of things in this that come down that may or may not be applicable. But the big part about it is, instead of trying to fight pressure, we go with it. And there's a consistency right there that I find across all of this manuscript. This is just another play, in my opinion, where instead of where I am going with somebody's pressure, this person's pushing against me, and I roll with to be able to get into that lower position where I can break the arm. One thing that's nasty about this position right here, and in the Marine Corps and the McMap program, they had us to go into this position quite a lot. In fact, actually, Third Master Dagger is actually quite interesting because a lot of this stuff right here is utilized in what we were taught in how we detain somebody, how we can retain the arm so we can get their hands behind their back. Lots of stuff that comes into this way. One thing he says right here is that there's no counter that you can do. And I'll hold you here, I'll hold you like this to prolong your suffering. That's the thing that's nasty about it. So if you get to this point, there is no counter. And a conversation I've had with people before is like, well, you have to tell people there's always a counter. No, there's not. Sometimes there's not a counter. And sometimes you're in a situation where you're going to stop. And this is one of those positions right here that is very likely to, if you get to it, you're not getting out of it. And if it's brought onto you, you're not getting out of it, and that's where you don't have a choice to what you're dealing with. Why am I saying that? Again, there was a video I had seen out there. I think it was Hard to Hurt, and one of the things he was saying in there is that some people don't necessarily know that they're in a dangerous situation, and they will continue to fight afterwards. You see this in modern day BJJ, or like any type of hand-to-hand combat sport out there, even in real life training for when people are doing, like with military or police, whatever. They may be dealing with somebody who doesn't want to lose or doesn't think that they have to lose, and therefore will try to fight out of it, when the reality is that that's just going to break their arm. So I say that because, again, if you're training this with people, please be cool about this, because it is very easy to take someone all the way to the ground. It is very easy to hurt the shoulder. And as you saw in the video, I didn't do much with Connor because I can really hurt his shoulder, or I can screw up and I can break his elbow or hyperextend it. These are all things right here that we have to consider with the people that we train with here. And like I said consistently about this is not a modern day self-defense course. This is a historical martial art research, observation, practice, whatever you want to call it. And while there may be things in here that are similar, much of it is not necessarily relevant in today's practice, because the arms have changed, and thus techniques and manipulation things have also changed. So keep that in mind with this. Again, the big thing about this right here is that we're utilizing, it can be a strike or leverage against. And once again here, you'll notice the position goes, if we go through the sequence of it all, the person has worked into posta longa. We can see that in the very first portion of the cover of the defense. They go back with this, I come back into frontale, and I'm coming down into porta ferro. So once again, it's one of the things I like about Third Master is it reinforces what Fiore says in the very beginning. Essentially, those 4 positions that we've learned about in abrazare are continually going throughout this. And that right there will allow us the structure and the things that we need to do to be able to shut down tactics and whatnot. And again, that's one of the things I really kind of like about this. So with that being the case here, that's going to wrap this up. Again, as always, please leave a comment below. Maybe this is something new for you. Maybe you've used this before. Maybe if you're a person that's out there that has tried this in training, or maybe this is a part of your practices, whether you are military or whatever the case may be out there. Let me know what your thoughts are. Again, because the commonality between what people were doing in this time to today, I find is kind of interesting. And again, like I say it consistently, not a modern day self-defense course. And I say that because I don't want people to get the idea that you're going to walk around with a rondelle dagger and all this stuff right here. And that's not what this is about. This is about looking at how we're similar, but there's also huge differences when it comes down to the practice. So yes, please leave a comment below. Let me know what you're thinking out there. If you are my viewers, subscribers, thank you so much. As always, I really appreciate the support that you've given me over the years. I appreciate your comments out there and being able to share this with other people in the community. If you are new to the channel, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing with a friend. I want to grow this channel as much as I possibly can here and get people to kind of see these interpretations and see where it goes from there. And that is not possible without viewers like you. So, as always, everybody, until next time, please stay safe out there, train well, and fight on. I will see you all soon.